Hi everyone, it's Leona with Leona's Designs, and I'm back with another week of Slow Stitch with Kathryn. This week is 38, and it's called Nature's Textures. And Kathryn's project, she was working on creating some lichen from different cloths and threads that she had on hand. And she encouraged us to do whatever we wanted to do with the textures or the things that we loved in nature. And so I thought about it, and I thought my favorite things in nature are trees, leaves, and flowers. So I'm going to try to create a tree with my orts and different scraps of material, and maybe a bird, and some leaves. I did watch Marion's World video on how she created a tree from scraps and floss, embroidery floss, and I was inspired by that. So I might attempt to do something similar. Kathryn did speak about that video in her video. She does watch Marion's World. So I will link Marion's World tree video in the description box below, and of course Kathryn's video on nature's textures and her creation of lichen, if you'd like to go check those out. But right now, let's get to it and see if I can create a beautiful tree. So here we are at my messy desk. I've been working on creating leaves with all my little fabric scraps. I have tons of them. I did create a couple of leaves already. I'm going to do a video on this. Created these leaves with just my fabric scraps. And I've been putting my fabric scraps together. So I will be doing a video on that soon. It's really easy and fun. But today I'm making a tree, which, as I said before, is inspired by Marion's World video, and I will link that below as well as Kathryn's video on nature's textures and her project on lichen. I did sketch out my tree with a pencil, but I'm going to go over it with this pen because I will be covering up the pen, I think, with my stitching. And what I'm doing is I'm just drawing branches in the tree trunk. And just kind of making an outline of a tree. There's some branches going off here and there. And we'll see how that turns out. So there's just, kind of the outline of my tree. So what I hope to do, I've got all these orts and all these little threads. And what Marion did was she took some of them and just kind of formed them and rolled them, twisted them, just to form the branches. So I'll get a little closer. And these are just embroidery threads, little pieces that were too short to use. And I'm just twisting them. And then I'm hoping to just couch them down for branches and for the tree trunk. So it's going to be a colorful tree. It's going to be a colorful fall tree. And this I'm not going to use. I could use that for a bird's nest, so I'll save that. I've got all these tiny, tiny scraps here that I'm hoping to use for a bird's nest for another project. So now I just need to get my thread and maybe some yarn, and we'll get started making our tree. Okay, so I've got a needle threaded with 3 strands of embroidery floss. I've got my Orts kind of wrapped around this piece of brown yarn, and that's going to be kind of the base to wrap them around and just kind of make a twisted branch that I'm going to couch down with this brown embroidery floss. So I'm just coming up from the back and couching, taking a little stitch over and then going back over, taking a little stitch and just going all the way down that way, just back and forth, trying to catch all those threads and trying to keep them twisted. So I have to kind of stop and twist them as they go. Twisting them around that yarn. Hopefully you can see. I'm trying to stay in camera. If I can get them twisted really tight. Where am I here? Right here. Okay. Just going over, taking a little stitch, trying to hold them tight, going back over, taking a little stitch while I'm holding them down. And I'm just going to keep doing that. And hopefully it will work. It's going to take a little while though. But I think the end result is going to be really cool. And it's using up scraps. It's a good way to use up your little pieces of thread. Oops. Just gotta try to keep them twisted as best I can. Twisting them around this yarn helps. So I don't want to let go too much, but that's what I've got so far. It's the beginning of a branch. And I'm excited about tomorrow because tomorrow is the first day of fall here in the USA where I live. Not sure if you're from another country, if it's fall where you are or summer, but here in the USA in the Pacific Northwest, Tomorrow is the first day of fall. And that means I get to dig up my bundle. I buried the bundle on the first day of summer in my yard under my tree. And I've been waiting all summer to be able to dig it up and see what happens. So tomorrow is that day. And I'm hoping to do a video of me digging it up, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen, so we'll see. And I'm not sure what I'm going to find. I think it was a piece of muslin that I wrapped some leaves and flowers in, and maybe some twigs. So I'm excited to see if it made a difference, or if it's still there, you know. But we've had pretty dry summer, so I think it should be still there. I am going to bury another one tomorrow and then attempt to dig it up on the first day of winter. And then on the first day of winter, I will bury another one if I can, depending on what the weather's like. And then dig it up on the first day of spring. So it's just kind of fun to see what you get. My neighbor wants to come and watch. He was out in the yard when I was burying it, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and he's like, "Oh, cool. Can I be there when you dig it up?" And I said, "Sure." So I called him this afternoon and told him, "I'm digging it up tomorrow if you want to come." So he said, "Yes, I will come watch." So maybe I'll have him hold the phone so I can video it. I'm sure if I told a couple other neighbors, they'd want to be out there too, but I'm not sure if I will. Because we're not really supposed to be burying or digging and planting and burying stuff. But the squirrels do it, so I figured, why can't I? Okay, so coming along here, that green thread keeps getting in my way, so taking it out, and I'm twisting. Just kind of going along here, hoping I'm couching everything down. That one's sticking up. Okay, well, this is what I've got so far. It's my first branch. Just just going to keep going down, and I'll come back when I get to the end. Okay, I've got my first side of my tree done, and this is what it looks like. Very pleased with it. I'm glad I used the yarn because that provided a good base to twist all these little threads around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this side of the tree, and then some of the branches, and then the main part of the tree I'm going to fill in with just little bits and pieces of fabric. These different, brown and maroon and different colors of fabric to kind of make it a fall looking tree. I have some little scraps of brown here and maroon. I think it will be beautiful. But first I'm going to do this other side, and then I'll probably fill in the trunk, and then I'll do the branches. So I'm going to do this side of the tree, and I'll be back. Okay, well, I got this side done. So I've got both sides of the tree done. And I was going to start filling in this tree trunk with these little scraps of fabric that I have. Some of these pieces seem like they just fit right in. So I was going to start stitching those in. I'll probably have to glue a few of them down because they're so small. While I was gone, I did finish doing this, and then I stopped to take a walk. And on my walk, I found this little tiny dove feather, I think it is. And so I'm going to incorporate that in here somewhere. It's just another texture from nature. So I think this one is big enough where I can pin it down and just start stitching. And maybe this one too. And then I got all these other little scraps here of various fall colors. And I'm going to fill this trunk in. So I'll just do some running stitches on these little pieces just to secure them down. I have 3 strands of embroidery floss in brown. And we'll see how this looks. I think it's going to be a really beautiful tree. It's pretty amazing what you can do with just a few pieces of scrap cloth and yarn and thread. And a little bit of time. So we'll get this stitched. Oops, no knots. And pretty well got that stitched down. So I'm just going to continue putting pieces in and stitching them down. And I'll be back. I think I'm just going to go up to about the middle of the tree, and then I'll start putting branches in again. Okay, so here it is finished. I had a really enjoyable time stitching this and piecing it all together. The trunk is just a few scraps pieced together. Some of them I glued down first, and then I went back and stitched. Had that little piece that looked like a knothole, so put that on there. And this is a bird I drew. He's a red-tailed hawk, and I had printed him out, and so he's paper, but I glued him down and then I stitched over him. So he does look like he has some thread feathers, and that was fun. I cut out little leaves and glued them down, and then I went back over and stitched the spine. And then I took my Posca pen, my Posca paint pen, and I drew little veins on the leaves with that. So I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. It was a fun project. And I did not use my little feather that I found on my walk. It just doesn't fit in, so I'll use that in something else. But I hope I inspired you to maybe try one of these yourself. Just use your scraps and your threads and see what you can create. I hope to see you again soon for week 39, whatever that is. Or for some other project I'm going to work on with those leaves and little scraps that I'm going to make leaves from. So whatever it is, I hope to see you again soon. Thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you. If you're not subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe, because I do try to have a video every week. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.